right? Where would you like to live?
I'd like to live right there next to
You might like to live where they're living, right? But you can't buy a house from anyone there because the conditions were written into the deeds that said you can't sell this house to a black family or a Mexican family or a non-Christian family. Whoa. Conditions like these were called restrictive covenants. Who wants to help me out just reading the definition of restrictive covenants, right? So tell me what a restricted covenant is.
Immigrations and preservation of location to purpose homes for people and families of color. People of color are not allowed to buy homes in white communities. Certain suburbs. So people of color is Mexicans, Black, Chinese, people of color.
So thank you. So you're forced, along with other African American families, to buy a house in the neighborhood next to all the factories.
Right.
So what does that remind you of? Any particular neighborhood here in San Francisco? Hunters Point.
Hunters Point, Trail Hill.
Right.
West Oakland.
West Oakland, right? The similarities. Oakland, San Francisco. So let's hear about what was going on. Let's hear from our African American mom. You could hold on to that. Tell us about what was happening during this time.
After the war, my family wanted to sell in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. But the laws on the book said you can't sell this house to a black family or a Hispanic family or a non-Christian family. So we were forced to live in a small apartment right next to the factory.
So you might think, right, it doesn't make sense to put homes next to shipyards, next to smokestacks,
Or
railroad,
dump sites like garbage dumps.
garbage dumps. But this is how zoning works. And we're going to be hearing about zoning in our future sessions a lot more. But zoning is, who wants to read definition? Short little definition about zoning. Share that with all of us, brother.
Zoning, a way to divide up the land into areas and say what that area of land can and can't be used for. Zoning, a way to divide up the land into areas and say what that area of land can be used for and cannot be used for.
So they put
So in the 40s, there's basically 4 types of zones. You had a zone for single-family homes. You had a zone for both single and multi-family buildings. You had a third zone, which was mixed residential and commercial. And then you had a 4th zone that included residential, commercial, industrial. So after World War II, zoning laws were changed so you could only have one use per zone. But that only affected new development. From this point on, so after World War II, the zoning laws changed. So you could only have one use for a zone. But that only affected new development. This is going to still keep going on. From this point on, any new constructions in our suburbs will be zoned for single use.
Single use? SRO?
No, one family.
One family. No, SROs in Palo Alto. East Palo Alto.
Was back in the 40s.
Huh? So tell me about, what do you see in some of the suburbs? Like, what do you see a lot of? Does it feel like the city? Do you have the same?
You don't see a lot of liquor stores.
They got yards.
You don't see a lot of
Big yards, big homes, spaces in between.
Parks, driveways.
Not that many liquor stores.
Less liquor stores.
You don't have buses on the weekend, they don't get the walks.
Transportation. So let's go back to our African American family. So because of discrimination, you're forced to live in a less desirable area because of all the toxins. Zones for mixed use next to smokestack factories, rail yards, and so your property values are going to be pretty low. But nonetheless, it's still a vibrant community. It's happening. Bayview, Trail Hill, Fillmore, it's still happening. We got apartment buildings, we got blues clubs, we got grocery stores, we even got banks. So to my Chinese family, racism confines your family to the urban neighborhoods known as Chinatowns. You aren't able to get a loan to buy a house because the banks have decided that Chinatown is one of the neighborhoods that is off limits for loans. You might have heard about this. It's called, someone said it, what's it called? Redlining. But we're going to put it around our Chinese family and our African American family because you got some of that redlining too. Not you all. You guys are cool.
Do that mean no government money can go there or something?
So let's hear a little bit about what redlining is.
No mortgage.
Redlining. Banks draw red lines on maps detailing by showing where they wouldn't give home loans.
So literally, they drew red lines on a map where they wouldn't make loans. So you and your family squeezed together in a 2-room flat right above your restaurant. And then, even if you have the money, right? So let's hear a little bit about how you're feeling.
Our family is forced to live in Chinatowns, but the banks won't give us a loan to buy a house. So we squeeze together in a 2-room rented flat above our restaurant.
So let's move over to our Mexicanos over here. How you guys doing? How's the work over there? A lot of work? A lot of work. So you didn't even have a choice where to live. Your family lives in squalid workers' quarters on the orchard where you work. You don't have electricity. You don't got no indoor plumbing. And you're crammed together in tight quarters. The owners tell you, if you complain, pa fuera. They'll deport you. So we got workers' quarters next to the foxes and the coyotes and the orchards. What's important to know here is that all these families are forced to live in racially segregated neighborhoods. Not a matter of choice or preference, but because of policies. And those residential patterns set back in the 40s still remain with us today. We feel the legacy. So let's shift a little bit and talk about jobs, right? We talked about where we live, right? Talk about our housing conditions, where we can and can't go. We're doing a lot with the little resources we got, right? We're still opening up our businesses. We're serving our community. Let's talk a little bit about jobs. So the husbands are back, right? Fighting the war. What kind of job changes are there? As our white husband, as a vet, you get a free job training under the GI Bill. Oh, sorry.